Hello there, my friends. Welcome to this Feel Good Flow. For today's class, grab a couple of blocks and your strap. As always, your body, your practice. Take any modifications that you might need. If something doesn't feel right, back out or skip it altogether. Make sure you're listening to your body. We will go ahead and get started down on our backs. Go ahead and bring your strap with you, so you don't have to get up. Bring it with you up here towards the top of your mat. And then come down onto your back, either you could take a full Shavasana with the legs extended, or if it might feel good, you could just take a reconstructive pose here. Reconstructive pose is feet out towards the sides of your mat, and then just allow the knees to kind of rest on one another. You can close down your eyes. You can have arms out to the sides, palms facing up. Just take a few deep breaths here before we start moving. Maybe starting to cultivate that breath in and out through your nose. If that's not feeling right, you can skip that. Just any breath that feels good for your body. Today's class, we are going to focus on finding a balance between effort and ease. This is something you hear about often in yoga classes. One of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras is Sthira Sukham Asanam, which essentially means coming into a posture and finding a balance between that effort and ease, stability and comfort. So today's flow will move through some forward folds, and that really requires us to find a good balance between effort and ease. In forward folding, it helps to engage the front side of the body to help open up the back. So applying that effort on the front side to kind of get that ease and that relaxation on the back side. But finding the right balance. Take one more breath. You can gently open your eyes. Go ahead and extend your left leg out long, and then let's hug the right knee in towards the chest and kind of rock that leg side to side. Start to open up through the hip a little bit. Maybe roll the knee around in a circle, whatever would feel good. And then grab that strap. Can wrap it around the sole of your foot, and we'll just do a little bit of hamstring activation here before we start. You can keep this left leg extended, or you can bend and come onto the sole of the foot, whatever would feel right for you, and then just start to bend and straighten through that right leg. Relax through your shoulders. Just hold onto the strap in either hand. This is giving something for your foot to kind of press into as we work to engage and then stretch the hamstring a little bit. Once you've done maybe like 8 to 10 of these, you can go ahead and work to just straighten that right leg. Press out through the strap. We'll work to stretch the hamstring now. So if it means lowering the leg a little bit to get a straight leg, go for that. And then just have the strap in either hand. Just take a few breaths here. Toes are kind of coming back towards the face. You're imagining that foot coming closer to your nose, closer to your face, although right here at the beginning it sure doesn't feel like it's very close, does it? All right, one more breath. And then you can join the two sides of the strap and take it really on either hand, whatever feels good for you, and then allow that right leg to open out to the right, getting a little bit of an opening through the hip. And then I like to place my left hand on top of my left hip to kind of remind that hip to stay, grounded into the mat and not to really roll with the leg. If we're rolling, we're not feeling the same kind of stretch here. Let's just take one more breath. And then inhale, bring that right leg back up. And if it might feel good, you could cross it a little bit over towards the left. If you have like hip issues, you might want to skip this one, or IT band, but this is a nice stretch down. It's pretty intense, at least for me. It is down the outside of that knee. And then come back to center and release, and we'll switch sides. So extend the right leg out, hug that left knee in. Take any of those little kind of rocking or rolling around movements that might feel good for the hip here. And then grab that strap, hook it around the left sole of the foot, and start to do those hamstring activations. You can bend the right leg if that would feel good. Just start to kind of bend and straighten. Start to wake up through the back of that leg. Once you've done 8 or 10 on this side, let's straighten and take the stretch here. This is our reclined big toe to hand or hand to big toe pose. Sometimes we do this, standing. This is nice because it takes that balance component out of it. We can really work to stretch the back of the leg without also wondering about falling at the same time. Let's take one more breath. Place the strap in one hand and then open it out to the side. I'm going to move my microphone there. And then if you'd like, you could put the right hand on top of the right hip as a nice little reminder not to go to the left side with that left leg. Last breath here. Bring it back up to center on an inhale. If it would feel good, take it over towards the right, just slightly feeling pretty intense stretch on the back and the outside of that left knee. Really getting into kind of all the attachment points of the hamstring. You can release that, come back to center, release the strap, and then we'll kind of rock and actually, we won't. We'll do a little core work first. So let's hug both knees in. Let's do some dead bugs. So you can bring your knees up to 90 degrees. Step 1 would be just to have your arms down by your sides, palms facing down, and just work to lower one knee or one foot, keeping the knee bent at a time. Step 2, you can reach your arms up overhead. Try one leg at a time. And then step 3 would be to work to lower the opposite arm and leg at the same time. Saying it is so tricky, doing it at the same time. So you do left arm, right leg, right arm, left leg. And then if you'd like to take it even further up a notch, you can work to extend the leg out straight. So choose your dead bug, and then just work through a few here. Keep that transverse abdominis hugging in. Try not to flare up through the ribs. Let's do one more to each side. Come back to center. You can give the knees a little hug, maybe roll out the sacrum a little bit. Next one we'll do, let's keep bent knees to start just like we did. You can have palms facing down, and let's just work to lower both feet at the same time with bent knees. Just tap those toes down. And then the next option, if you'd like to kind of level it up, would be to work with straighter. You can have them bent still, or straight legs. So you'd be lowering them down, and if you'd like, if it might feel good, you could place the hands underneath kind of the tailbone there to give a little bit of support. So lower down and up. Let's do 5 of these. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Hug those legs in one more time. And then straighten the legs up overhead. You could have a bend in the knee if that's not feeling good. And we'll work to do, I like to call these rope climbs. So let's start with our hands basketing the head. So fingertips behind the ears here. And this will be like an oblique twist here. So we're reaching like the right elbow up towards that left ankle, but then you can extend the arm and reach up. Back down, take left over towards the right and reach up. And then working just kind of on your own breath here. Inhaling and exhaling, just going side to side. I always kind of think about this as like climbing a rope, which I can't do. Think about that rope climb in gym class. I could never do it. Let's do a couple more to each side. Last one here. And release. Good job. Hug those knees in. One more little roll of the sacrum, and then let's rock and roll now all the way up onto our seat. Couldn't forget that core work there, could we? And then up on our seat, let's just take, I'm going to call this an easy Paschimottanasana. So instead of straightening the legs and extending them long, let's keep bent knees, have the toes pointing up towards the ceiling. And as we fold forward here, think about dragging your heels isometrically back towards your hips. This is kind of engaging the hamstrings here. And then we're drawing the belly in, kind of pressing the belly towards the thighs. And this is making me think of that compression that we're going to talk about a little bit later. Engaging the belly can kind of help you fold farther forward, and then as we work to straighten the legs, we'll engage the thighs and press them down into the mat to kind of help open up through the backside of the body. So you can keep bent knees here, just work on that belly part, drawing the belly in and maybe even pulsing forward and back a little bit. And then we'll inhale it back up. Just take an easy seat here, anything that's comfortable for you. You could just take like Sukhasana with crossed legs. If you'd like to sit up on a blanket, you can do that also. And then we'll take just some nice gentle side bends. Let's inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, right fingertips down. Left arm reaches over. Think about pressing down through that left sit bone to help open up the left side. Inhale it back up to center. Exhale, take it to the left. Press down through the right sit bone. Keep that chest opening towards the ceiling. Let's go to each side one more time. Stretching the side body. And then inhale the arms back up overhead. Exhale, twist over towards the right. So right fingertips can go behind, left fingertips to the outside of that right knee. Think about twisting there through those obliques. And then take this right hand, draw an arc all the way up over your body, all the way until this right hand meets the left knee. Arms are crossed. Hollow out through the chest. You can tuck your chin. And then inhale, bring the arms out in front of you, keeping the cross, so right is over left. From here, we'll take eagle arms. First option would be just to grab opposite shoulders. Second, you could allow the backs of the palms to touch. Third option would be working to get the palms together. Keep elbows lifted. Let's inhale, lift up, kind of open through the chest here. Gaze up, and then exhale, draw the elbows in towards the belly, hollow out through the belly. You'll feel those shoulder blades really separating on the back. And then take this on your own breath, inhaling up, exhaling down. This is a seated cat-cow. We're doing this with eagle arms, adding in a little bit of an intense shoulder stretch here on the back when we do this cat. Let's inhale it back up to center, release the hands, inhale them up overhead, and then twist to the opposite side. So right hand on the outside of the left knee, left fingertips behind. Twist there through that middle back, through the thoracic spine. Take this left arm, draw that arc all the way up overhead, reaching up, up, up towards the ceiling. Allow that left hand to kind of crash into the right knee. Hollow out through the chest. Tuck your chin. Keep that cross in the arms, lift them up, and then work for your eagle arms, whatever variation was working for you. Inhale the elbows up, kind of arch through the back, open the chest there as much as you can, and then exhale, draw the elbows in towards the navel. Hollow out through the belly there. Inhale it up. Exhale it down. This is too intense for the shoulder. Just work for that opposite shoulder reach. Let's inhale, come back up to center. You can release the hands, and we'll rock over our seat here into a tabletop. Curl those toes, lift the hips, come into your first downward facing dog. So press your palms into the mat, push it away. Biceps are on the outside of the ears. You can maybe drop one heel and then the other. Lift those sit bones up high. Feel that stretch going up the backs of the legs. Inhale and lift this right leg up. Let's bend the knee, take a few hip circles in one direction. And then reverse opposite direction. Check in with that right shoulder. I always have to. It wants to open up. Let's lift that right leg up. Exhale, bring your knee in towards your nose. Plant the right foot. Come down onto that back knee. If you need a blanket under that knee for a little bit of support, you can do that here. We'll take an Anjaneyasana. Blocks under hands are an option. Arms can reach up overhead. Squeeze your left glute. Open up through the front of the left hip. Breath here. And then exhale, shift your hips back, straighten the front leg, come into your Ardha Hanumanasana half split. So we're on the right heel, toes reach up towards the ceiling. Can work to fold forward over that front leg, feel the stretch up the back side of the leg. Can have hands on blocks or on the mat. And then we'll half lift up. Let's walk the hands over towards the outside of that right leg And the hands can be on blocks here. And then work to maybe move the hips towards the left just a little bit, kind of feeling, once again, that difference in attachment points on the hamstring, maybe feeling this a little bit more on different parts behind the knee. And then we'll walk the hands to the inside, take the hips out to the right. And then we'll actually travel a little here. So we'll walk the hands, continue going to the left, and then let's face the left side of your mat. So we'll stay on the left shin and knee. The right leg will stay straight, the right toes point forward, and then walk your hands out in front, and we'll take a gate pose puppy stretch mashup here. So our legs are like in gate pose, and then the torso is gonna allow the chest to fall forward, open through the shoulders, taking like a puppy stretch here. Sit bones reach high and wide behind. One more breath. Carefully press down through the palms, lift the chest, walk the hands back towards your body, and then we'll land in a Janu Sirsasana. So you can just rotate this shin in on the left leg and just sit down. So we've got the left sole of the foot on the inside of the right leg is still straight. Ground down through your sit bones. Inhale the arms up overhead. Make sure your torso is aligned over this right leg, and then fold forward. So hinge there at the hips. And then let's think about that compression we talked about engaging through the abs. So drawing that belly in to kind of help you fold forward just a little bit more as you press this right thigh down into the mat. Inhale, walk the hands back towards the hips, realign your spine. Take a breath here. Inhale the left arm all the way up overhead. Place the left fingertips behind you. We'll take a kneeling wild thing. So press down into that left shin and right foot. As you lift the hips, squeeze the glutes. Work to open the chest. And then exhale, bring this right hand down towards the left, facing the back of the mat, and we'll spin this left shin. Keep the right leg reaching long behind you. Lift the right leg up into a balancing tabletop. If you'd like, reach that left arm out in front into a full balancing tabletop. And then let's take 5 knee to elbow crunches. So on your exhale, elbow to knee, round through the back. Inhale it long. Exhale, crunch. 3 more. 2 more. Last one here. Reach it long. Place the left hand down. You can place the right knee down to meet the left. We'll curl the toes, lift the hips. You're in a downward facing dog now, facing the back of your mat. Inhale and lift that left leg up high this time. Exhale, bring the left knee in towards the nose. Plant that left foot. Feet are parallel, about a hip's distance apart. We'll inhale up into high crescent lunge. Back leg can be straight or have a little micro bend. Let energy go out through that back heel. Exhale, left hand to left hip. Reach this right arm to the left and back slightly into an exalted crescent. Feel a nice stretch up the right front of your hip. We'll exhale and just cartwheel this right arm forward, down towards the mat. We'll open up to the side here into a wide-legged position. Turn both toes to face the side of the mat, hands on the hips. Another forward fold here. Think about your pelvis as like a bowl. I say this all the time. When we fold forward, we want that bowl to be spilling forward. We want our pelvis to go into an anterior tilt. Sit bones will reach behind us. That will help us in our forward fold. If our pelvis doesn't move or our pelvis stays in a tucked, like a posterior position, the fold is really coming at your waist. That's not stretching your hamstrings. We want to have this anterior tilt, allow the pelvis to tilt forward. This gives us length in the hamstrings to hinge at the hip and fold forward. Enough of my anterior posterior tilt right here. So hands on the hips, feel that bowl spilling forward as you fold. You can release the crown of your head, press down through your feet. Think about the sit bones reaching up and wide behind you. If it might feel good, you could even take some little movements here, just kind of side to side. You could allow the upper body to do its thing. Just release. Take one more breath here. Let's inhale into a half lift. Hands can be on blocks or the floor. And then let's turn to face the front of the mat. So right toes can face forward. We'll spin up onto the left toes. Hands frame this front right foot. Right foot steps back to meet the left in a plank. You can come onto knees or take a full vinyasa here, or simply meet in downward facing dog if you're not feeling the vinyasas today. In your downward facing dog, take an inhale, take an exhale. On your next inhale, lift the left leg up, bend the knee, take those hip circles on the left side. Do 3 going one way, 3 going the opposite. Keep pressing down through all of your knuckles. Lift that left leg up high. Exhale, bring the knee in towards the nose. Plant the left foot, come onto the right knee. Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Hands can be on blocks. Squeeze that right glute. Draw that transverse abdominis. It's hugging everything in. On your next exhale, hands down to blocks or the mat. Straighten that front leg. Shift the hips back. Ardha Hanumanasana, half split. Exhale and fold forward over that front leg. Imagine you're isometrically drawing this left heel back towards the hip. One more breath. And then inhale, half lift. Hands come to the left side, hips to the right. You could even take some little pulses or rocks here. And then hands over towards the right, hips to the left. Here's where we travel. So keep the hands walking towards the right, spin that shin. We'll straighten that left leg, toes point forward, walk the hands forward, take that gate pose puppy stretch, mash up. I'm running into my wall here, so my arms are not going to be straight. Allow the chest to come down towards the floor. One more breath. And then press down through those palms, lift the torso, shift that right shin, and then come down on to your seat for Janu Sirsasana. Left leg is long. So right leg is bent with the sole of the foot on the inside of the left thigh. Inhale, arms up overhead, align that torso, and then exhale, hinge at that hip, fold forward. Draw in that belly, press that left foot down into the mat, keep it active. Take one more inhale, one more exhale. And then on your next inhale, I like to kind of tent my fingertips and just slowly walk everything back. Realign the spine, take a breath. Inhale that right arm up overhead, place the fingertips behind you, lift up the hips on the right shin and left foot, kneeling wild thing. Exhale the left hand, we're turning towards the right here, but exhaling the left hand down, coming to meet that right hand on the back of the mat, just spin onto that right shin, lift that left leg up into balancing tabletop. Inhale the right arm up, maybe take those 5 crunches on your exhales. Knee to elbow, elbow to knee. Rounding through the back. I lost count. Let's do one more. Exhale. Inhale, reach it long. Right hand comes down. Left knee comes down. Curl the toes. Lift the hips. Downward facing dog facing the back of the mat. Inhale and lift the right leg up. Exhale, right leg forward. Inhale, high crescent lunge. Palms face one another. Take a deep breath. On your next exhale, right hand to right hip, left arm reaches towards the right and back into your exalted crescent. On your next exhale, let's reach that right arm forward, down all the way around to the side. Open up to the left, toes point forward towards the side of your mat, and then take that wide-legged forward fold. Here, I'll turn to face you all. Hands on the hips, hinge there at the hips, pelvis spills forward. And then just release through the upper back, through the neck, all the way up through the crown of the head. Maybe shake the head yes and no. Just breathe. On your next inhale, come into a half lift. Start to walk your hands up towards that left foot at the front of the mat. Turn the toes to face forward. Then that left foot will step back to meet the right. High plank can come down onto your knees or take a full vinyasa or downward facing dog. Exhaling back. You can take an inhale in through the nose. Let it go through the mouth. And then with straight legs or bent knees, start to tiptoe all the way to the front of your mat. Take a quick little ragdoll here. Grab opposite elbows. Just kind of rock side to side. You can have bent knees here. Think about that compression, chest towards the thighs. And then release the hands and just roll up carefully one vertebrae at a time. At the front of our mat, bring your right foot to the center of the mat and then cross that left leg over. So we've kind of got crossed legs here. We'll inhale the arms up, palms touch. Exhale, fold forward over those crossed legs. Should probably feel a way more intense stretch up the back of the right leg. Have bent knees if that feels better. We'll inhale into a half lift. Your hands can be on blocks here. And then keep the weight in that right foot as we lift this left foot up, back, and around. We'll land in a pyramid. So feet are parallel and about hips distance apart like railroad tracks. The right toes point forward, left toes pointing out about 45 degrees. Check in with your hips. You can just stay right here in that half lift in the torso. Bring the right hip back, left hip forward. And then if it would feel good, fold forward over that front leg, releasing the crown of your head. And just take a few breaths here. Another pretty deep forward fold. On your next inhale, come back up into that half lift. You can bend this front knee, little balance challenge here. You can either step the left foot to meet the right to the front of the mat, or see if you can shift the weight into that right foot. Hands can come to heart center, and we'll actually rise all the way up, lifting this left knee in front of us into a stork. If you need to bring legs together and then lift, that's all good as well. And then we'll take our tree pose from here. So let's open that left knee out to the side into external rotation. And then wherever your tree is for you, so toes can be down on the mat, anywhere that left foot falls for your tree pose, take that now, find your drishti, find your focus point, squeeze both outer hips and glutes in, help you stabilize. Hands can be at heart center, you can grow branches. Hands back to heart center. Can either release the foot to the mat or try another little balance challenge. We'll release that foot back up into the stork. This time when you externally rotate it, step back into a Virabhadrasana 2. And if none of that balancing worked for you, that's all good. Just put your foot down in between. Some days I've got the balance and some days I do not. Reach arms out in opposite direction, shoulders stack over hips. Take a breath in your Virabhadrasana 2. Inhale and flip this front palm. Let's reverse the warrior. At the same time you're reaching that right arm up overhead, see if you can press down through the right toes. Lift the heel. Another little balance challenge. On your exhale, come forward into side angle. Heel comes down. So forearm can come to thigh. Hand can come down to the mat. Open your chest up towards the ceiling. Let's do that a few more times. So inhale, cartwheel up, reverse warrior, maybe on the right toes. Exhale, come forward into that side angle. Chest opens. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, reverse warrior, maybe on the toes, maybe getting a toe cramp. Exhale, come into that side angle. From your side angle, cartwheel this left hand all the way down to the mat. Let's spin onto the left toes, and we'll step this right leg back to meet the left into a plank. You can exhale the hips up into downward facing dog, or come onto your knees, or take full chaturanga in a vinyasa. Exhaling back downward facing dog. Take a breath here. Take one more inhale. On your next exhale, take that tiptoe to the front of the mat. Knees can be bent. And then when you arrive, feet hips distance apart, grab the opposite, the weird way of grabbing elbows. I got to think about it this way. The opposite way that you did last time. Take your ragdoll. Knees can be bent, rock side to side. And then release the hands. Carefully roll it up one vertebrae at a time. Head comes up last. We'll try that on the other side. So let's bring the left foot to the center of the mat. Cross the right foot over. Inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, fold forward here with crossed legs. Hands can come to blocks. Feel the stretch a little bit more intense on the back of the left leg now. Bend the knees as much as you need. And then come into your half lift, hands on mat or blocks. Keep the weight in that left foot. See if you can lift that right foot and swing it around back behind you, and we'll come into pyramid. Make sure your feet are about hip distance apart. Let's get a long spine here in the half lift. Let's do that hip check. Left hip back, right hip forward, and then exhale, fold forward over that front leg. Let's take 2 breaths here. On your next inhale, come into that half lift, bend that right knee, step the left foot either to meet the right, or you can bring hands to heart center and try that transition into stork. Maybe wobbling a little bit, and that's okay. Let's open that right knee out to the right, and then take your tree pose. So wherever your feet land, it's all good. And then if you're pressing this foot into the inside of the thigh, really make sure that you are squeezing here so we're not dumping into that left hip. So really squeeze that left outer hip. Hands can be at heart center. You can open them. And then either release that right foot down to the mat or try the other balance challenge of coming back out into that stork and then opening that right leg back behind you into your Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Make sure shoulders are down away from the ears. Check in with that right knee, tracking towards the toes. Inhale, flip that front palm. Reverse your warrior, come onto those left toes. And then exhale, side angle. Long line up the right side of the body. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhaling up. You could skip the heel lift if that's not calling to you. Exhale, side angle. Inhale it up 1 more time. Exhale into side angle. Stay here in your side angle. Take an inhale. Exhale, cartwheel that right hand down to the mat. Come onto the back toes. Left hand comes down to frame the front foot. Left foot steps back to meet the right. Vinyasa or downward facing dog. In your downward facing dog, take an inhale. Exhale, lower the knees down towards the mat and we'll come into a child's pose. So bring the knees wide, big toes towards each other. Press those hips back towards the heels and then release your forehead down on to the mat. Take 2 breaths here. On your next inhale, carefully lift your head. Keep your left hand where it is, and then thread that right arm through. Come onto the right shoulder. We'll take a little thread the needle here in our child's pose. Content those left fingertips. Let's take a breath. And then press down through those left fingertips. Lift the chest. Reach that right arm, and then thread that left arm through. Just breathe. Left temple or cheek can be down on the mat. Coming back to that concept of effort and ease, finding a balance. In our asana practice, we put forth a lot of effort, and then kind of at the end of class, we have a nice opportunity to cool down, allowing some ease after all of the effort. Press down through that right hand. Let's reach that left arm long again, and then we'll come up on to our seats. I'm going to turn to face you, but you can stay facing forward. Come onto your hips. Let's bend your knees and bring them out to the side. Soles of the feet come to touch. And then how close your feet will be to your hips will be dependent on you and how good it feels in your hips. If you'd like to sit up on a blanket, you can. And we'll take a Baddha Konasana here, cobbler's pose. So we'll fold forward in this, and I'd like you to kind of think about that effort and ease balance in this posture as well. Before we fold, let's just notice if you engage here through your glutes, your outer hips, if you squeeze all of that down towards the mat, notice how you get a little bit more opening in the hips through all of that engagement. And then release. Let's do that 2 more times. Engage through the outer hips. And then release. Squeeze the glutes and engage it 1 more time. There's our effort. can release. Then stay up on your sit bones. Think about that. Hinging there at the hips, fold forward over the legs, and then just release. No engagement. Just kind of allow that ease to happen. One more breath. Can carefully use those fingertips to realign the spine. Head comes up last. And then from here, we'll reach the legs out long again, and we'll take our Paschimottanasana. This time we will work to have straighter legs. If you still have a little bit of bend in the knee, that's all good. It might feel nice to roll a blanket or something underneath so your knees kind of have something to press down into. If you'd like to use your strap, you can wrap that around the soles of your feet. Just take a moment to check in and make sure you're on your sit bones. And then inhale the arms up overhead. And then exhale, instead of reaching towards the toes, that kind of gets us into that bend at the waist. Imagine that you're reaching all the way past your toes towards the opposite edge of the room, taking that hinge there at the hips. So reach, reach, reach. If you'd like to have your strap around your feet to kind of help you get that hinge, get that core engagement, can do that. And then let's just take a couple of breaths here in this Paschimottanasana. You can kind of explore what feels good for your body. Think about pressing the thigh bones down into the mat and then drawing that belly in to help you maybe get a little bit further. And then if that feels too intense, back out of that a little bit. Find that balance. Last breath here. On your next inhale, let's walk the hands back towards the hips. Realign the spine, and then just take a breath here in staff pose. You can place your palms of your hands down. Just neutralize here for a second. And then let's bend the right knee. Come onto the right sole of the foot. Inhale that right arm up overhead, and exhale, twist towards the right. Come onto the right fingertips, and then this left arm can either hug that right knee into the chest, or you could hook your tricep on the outside of the thigh there, right above the knee. Keep this left leg active, and then try to keep a long spine. You can gaze over that right shoulder. On your next inhale, let's release it back to center carefully. Extend the right leg, bend the left knee. We'll take that on the opposite side. Inhale that left arm up overhead. Exhale, twist to the side, left fingertips behind, either hugging this knee in or working for that tricep hook. Keep those right toes pointing up towards the ceiling. Last breath here. Let's inhale and bring it back to center. Can extend that left leg long. Let's actually scoot our seat towards the middle of the mat. We'll come down on to our backs. Slowly and carefully hug those knees in. Circle them out one direction, then the other, giving your lower back there a little bit of a massage. And then let's take a happy baby, Ananda Balasana. Can use your strap around your feet. Can take yogi toe lock, which is peace fingers and thumb around the big toes, or grab the outer edges of your feet, whatever feels best for you. Draw knees towards your armpits, and then check in. See if that sacrum is coming off of the mat. Try to keep sacrum low back on the mat. Try to keep shoulders relaxed down on the mat. If that means using your strap, go for that. And then maybe rock side to side if that might feel nice. See if you can get a little bit of length there in the back of your neck. And then you can release the feet down towards the mat. We will take a spinal twist here. So let's just extend the left leg long. Hug the right knee in towards the chest, kind of how we begin class. Take that knee open through the hip, take some circles, and then let's twist over towards the left, making sure that we come on to the outside of that left hip. So sometimes I have to place my right foot down and hike my hip up just to make sure I get on the outside, and then take that right knee over towards the left. You can inhale that right arm up and open it out to the side. You could take cactus arms or T. You can stay here, or if you'd like to try a little option here in your twist, you could bend this left leg and see if you can reach your right arm back to grab the top of that foot. And then really work to open the right side of the chest and get that right shoulder back down on the mat. This adds a nice little kind of quad and hip flexor stretch on the left leg, and then working to open the chest there through the twist. This is, in yin, this one's called cat chasing its tail. Let's take one more breath. Can release that foot, reach it long again. Let's roll back onto your back, hug that right knee in one more time, and then switch sides. So right leg reaches long, hug that left knee in, take those little rocks, rolls, circles, whatever feels good. And then let's twist over towards the right. Maybe if you're like me, you need to place those left toes down, hike yourself onto the right hip, and then twist. Just kind of like the magic trick for me. Inhale that left arm up overhead, open it out to the side. Take a moment to maybe scoot the right ribs towards the right to help get that left shoulder blade down on the mat. Then if you'd like to try for that extra little stretch, you can bend that right knee, bring the right heel up towards the right glute, maybe grab for the top of the foot with the left arm, and then work to open that chest and maybe get that shoulder back down towards the mat just a little bit. Let's just take 2 breaths here. Release the foot. Let's roll back down onto your backs. Bring that right knee up to meet the left. Give them one more squeeze. And then extend both feet down towards opposite corners of your mat. Lift your chest, tuck your shoulder blades underneath. Reach your arms out to the sides with your palms facing up. Close your eyes. Release that control that you might have had on your breath while we were practicing. Now just be the observer of your breath, the inhales and the exhales. Finding that balance even in the breath. This is a time in our practice to just surrender and release. Allows your body to really kind of absorb all of the movement that just happened. Maybe we can take this concept of balance between effort and ease out into our day as we move off of our mats today. Finding that balance between work and play. Trying to balance out stress with some relaxation. I'll close class today with a quote by Jana Kingsford. Balance is not something you find, it's something you create. Thank you so much for practicing with me today.